Hello there, I'm Brackets, everyone's favorite spirit animal commentator. That's right, I'm no longer a furry, just a spirit animal enthusiast. My profile picture? It's not my persona, just my spirit animal. Because at this point, the fandom has made me question sticking around so much that I've been dangling off the edge of the group for a while. And if I've been hanging off the edge, a certain individual just launched me right the fuck off of it. Of course, I'm talking about Kero the Wolf returning to his YouTube channel. It seems 2 years was enough time for him to just seep through the statute of limitations and go back to doing whatever this even was. But yeah, he came back after being investigated for a multitude of offenses surrounding Zeus status leaks of 2018, in which he was involved in Telegram chats surrounding the killing of animals for sexual pleasure, sometimes even using that dead animal for that sexual pleasure. The entire ordeal is incredibly hard to stomach, but I suggest you check the videos linked in the description below, as there is a good number of them that do this horrific pile of proof justice better than I ever could. But if you're caught up or just looking for someone's thoughts on his return, let me just start it by saying that even with the assumption I made months ago that he would come back, the video he decided to return with, there was just no preparation for how crappy of a response this would be. On March 12th, he posted a video titled My Side. The description says, "If you spent hours watching hate videos about me, you owe me the 15 minutes it takes to watch this video." Because after seeing what this man is responsible for, the roadkill and dying dog he stuck his unmentionables into, truly the best thing for your mental state is to watch him brag about how he got away with it. Right off the bat, you can see the signs of someone who knows there's no redeeming their actions through words. This is indicated by the like to dislike ratio not being available, but surprisingly, the comments are still on. There's just one issue with that. There are almost no negative comments in sight. The only ones visible are those welcoming Kero back into the furry fandom, and saying that they'll always love him through thick and thin, as if the feeling's actually reciprocal. In my opinion, this is actually a lot worse than if he were to just disable the comments outright. Instead, he simply has his moderator policing who can comment, removing anything critical of him that could hurt his high of evading the law. Anyways, let's stop digging around for now. Let's actually get into the carcass of this video and see what we can gather here. So we started the video off with Kero saying that he's been gone for 2 years due to the evidence catching him by surprise.
Hi guys, a lot has happened in the past 2 years. I want to take a moment and explain why I left YouTube before we get into everything. This was in the fall of 2018, the day the accusation started. Everything happened all at once. I was getting accused of new things right and left, and I was completely taken by surprise.
Because it's courteous to tell someone that you're going to expose abhorrent things they've done. The first portion of the video is spent blatantly lying about how the investigation went.
My whole plan was to cooperate and let the police work, and let them announce that I was innocent, because this case seemed like a no-brainer. I thought the police would interview me, announce that they didn't find anything, proving the accusations wrong. I did go into the police station, I sat down for interviews. The police came to my apartment multiple times a week, asked me questions like, "Where's the deal? Do you know this person?" I was constantly visited by them, and each and every time I let them search my apartment, and I answered all of their questions.
He says he fully cooperated with the police when the reality is that he and his parents denied them the ability to search anything. He also tries to taint the truth by sprinkling in small details of misinformation.
People were calling the police station and accusing me of all kinds of things. I was even asked about a missing child, and then they asked if they can search my place. I endured these visits and let them do their work. And after a month and a half of all these visits, everything went silent. But what happened in January completely surprised me. The police were able to obtain a search warrant, which blew my mind. There's honestly nothing there to justify a search warrant. But then I saw the actual piece of paper. Someone called the police, accused me of having illicit material on my computer, and the warrant was to check for distribution and storage of it.
He claims that people were telling police he was kidnapping children and had CP on his hard drives. Neither of which is true, nor did anyone claim this. The claims made were that you screwed animals and roadkill, this fornicating being linked to the death of a dog you owned. You could argue that guilt is getting the best of him here and he's admitting to another crime, but let's be real here. Does this look like the face of a man capable of feeling guilt?
Which is a felony. If this would have been true, I would not be here talking to you today. I would be in jail.
Well, you know they say, America, land of the free, home of the brave, the US of A, because you can suck anything. Even your fucking dog. Afterwards, he would go on to do as many other controversial YouTubers have done, and use his mental state to suicide bait and self-pity.
They took everything, my cameras, my phone, my computer, all my hard drives. So after they took my stuff, I felt utterly hopeless. Without my video equipment, how could I fight back? They took the only thing I could use to help prove my innocence. This really took a toll on my mental health. I was suicidal, I was depressed, and I was just overall broken. honestly tried to leave the community in January because no one was listening to me.
He then has the audacity to claim that he truly belongs in the furry fandom.
But a month after everything was taken, memories poured into my head. The fandom helped me so much. Even if a lot of you dislike me, I can never dislike the fandom. There are a lot of things that need fixing, but this is a place I truly belong, and no one is gonna tell me otherwise.
I know I joked around at the start of this video about no longer being a furry, but allow me to say, along with the multitude of furries on Twitter who have said it already, the fandom was relatively fine without you, and will continue to be. You're not welcome here and never will be again, regardless of how eager your yes men are to sweep your dog raping under the carpet.
Police took nearly 2 years to look at my possessions. They even sent my devices to the FBI forensics lab. And also, the New York police got involved. And through all that, there were never any charges against me. If there's any evidence being used against me, the police would have found it during all of that time. And yet, over these past 2 years, I have been harassed, doxxed, manipulated, blackmailed. I've had people stalk me, accuse me of terrible things, kept trying to put words in my mouth, and spread rumors about me.
He again self-pities about being harassed online and saying that the FBI looked into his devices and found nothing, which is false. There was evidence that consisted of photos and videos of Kero's dog in his garage and his hand molesting the animal. This was thrown out because this evidence had fallen out of the statute of limitations, rendering it useless in the investigation. To the authorities, these photos and videos just didn't exist.
Because I know for some people, the result of 2 police departments and the FBI proving me innocent just isn't enough.
Well, clearly it isn't. You and your parents provided the authorities nothing but resistance until a warrant was provided. What part of that exactly says innocent? Things grow even more unbearable as he holds on to the same tried and true lie in his mind, that the logs were faked.
They depicted horrific things that were said between a group of people on Telegram. There was also a list of people allegedly involved in the chats, but of the ones included was my name. While it is true I have talked to Snake Thing before, I didn't know he was a monster he turned out to be. We were not friends, just some guy I've been in some furry group, and we talked about feral cartoons. The logs of me are not real. There was none of that nasty shit in there, just a normal conversation between 2 people who like feral characters.
He is essentially telling on himself here. Feral artwork? Why leave it so ambiguous? He doesn't even say if the art is safe for work or not.
Secondly, I want to point out the legitimacy of the person who posted the logs. This user claims to be an actual confessed zoophile, and the logs contain images of bestiality. How does that make him a legitimate source if he himself is one of those people that abuses animals?
Yes, most are aware of that. He mentioned how he's a zoophile, and he was releasing the logs due to them containing zoo sadism. To the user who leaked these logs, he saw a distinct difference in fornicating with an animal for pleasure, and doing so just to get the gratification of harming an animal, even though both of them just reach the same conclusion of animal harm in different ways. The legitimacy of these logs isn't compromised just because the person releasing them shares the same issue you've shown yourself to have. That just means you both have problems in the head. The only thing I can agree with is that the leaker should have taken the material he had to the police first, rather than dumping it all out on Twitter. This essentially gave those responsible time to destroy evidence, but then again,
I went through the legal process.
America's legal process. To add on to his pile of lies, Kero goes on about Snake Thing, saying that he was arrested due to CP and not because of the content of the logs.
Yes, people were arrested during this, like Snake Thing. But he wasn't arrested because of the logs. People did report him to the police, and they did investigate him. But his charges do not reflect what was in the logs. This shows he was in possession of illegal pornography. Not because he was a ringleader, not because of these logs people keep talking about, but because he had illegal content.
Here he leaves out a crucial fact that the prosecutor dropped the zoophilia charges to go straight in on the charges of pedophilia, because pedophilic charges stick much better than zoophile charges and results in longer jail time. I would go about playing the rest of this video, but it just rinses and repeats the same cycle of self-pity, claiming the logs were faked and edited with Inspect Element, regardless of explanations proving how that couldn't be, whining about getting cancelled, and saying that Kiwi Farms couldn't be trusted because they made fun of him. And users on there were being mean to Ruth Bader Ginsburg, which, this comes out of left field. As someone who scrolls through Wikifarm threads, yeah, people can be a bit extreme with their points, but it's essentially a hodgepodge of different opinions. People are barely removed from the site just for speaking their mind on an issue. If you disagree with a post, just put a dumb reaction on it and call it a day. Wanting to burn a site down just because it exposed what you and many others have done just comes off as suspicious. But that's all Kero had really. Just one last attempt to try delegitimizing and downplaying what he did, in hopes that he could retain just a small bit of the fandom stupid enough to fall for it. and we can see how that turned out. If you were to look at his comments, you'd probably think that the furry fandom was more than elated to welcome him back in. But if you check Twitter, you'd probably see what people were actually saying about it. Many furries, along with myself, were tweeting our disapproval with the zoophile's return. One by the handle Majira Strawberry vaguely tweeting, "He just wants the views. Stop giving him views." Kero would come across this point and give a rebuttal saying that telling people not to watch his video wasn't nice. He would also bring up how Majira fornicated with other people in a mersuit. Just another sign that Kero still hasn't changed from who he truly is. He actually believed he was making some grand gesture by calling out someone for consensual sex in a costume, when that person, along with their fandom, are fully aware of what you're responsible for. Consent nowhere to be found in any pixel of it. He really thought he was saying something, calling someone out for— oh my god. Along with that, he would also retweet a video made by someone who supported his degenerative behavior through and through. A user with the handle Kit the Soulless.
Hello all you adorable fluff butts out there.
I think we all know where this is going, but for those who aren't aware of who this is, Kit Kilovarus, also known as Kit the Soulless, is a 22-year-old furry YouTuber, among other things. He's a friend of Kero's who made claims that Kero simply happened to know infamous pedophiles and dog rapists like Snake Thing and Tim Wynn, as well as repeatedly calling the logs faked, saying that they were hit with Inspect Element. However, using Kero's logic for a moment, is Kit really a credible source? I mean, some were able to come across his Beastform account where he wrote about anally violating his dog to a point where other zoophiles said that he was hurting his dog and needed to stop. So can I really trust someone that even dog violators think went over the top? Anyway, about the video, it's essentially a fanfiction style retelling of the entire Zeus sadist saga. Only in this corroded storyline, Kero never abused his dog because, just like the remainder of his fans believe, just because the FBI and police didn't find anything they can use, he's innocent. As well as deciding to go on needless tangents with implications that only go to undermine the point that shouldn't even be expanded to begin with.
It's easy to see the damage that was done to our community. People on both sides have given in to their hatred for one another, and it shows. There was a time when we were united against a common enemy, something that threatened us, our safety, and even our very way of life because of an interest that we all shared. We as a community were once hated and reviled for what and who we are by the world at large. We were openly mocked and belittled by the media because of their intolerance and their inability to listen, or their desire for fame and ratings. And while we worked tirelessly for decades to undo the damage that they had done to our community in the eyes of the world, it's all being undone now by those who seek the same glory that the media once did. Those who seek to sensationalize and justify their hatred have turned the focus of the world upon the worst aspects of our community.
Essentially what he's trying to get at is that the furries who are calling Kero and other horde furries out are the same as the news and media who use furries for shits and giggles, which, well, fuck you. If anything, the image of furries is better than whatever it was back then. If you were to ask most people out there about their opinions on furries, chances are they'll say something along the lines of, "I'm not a furry myself, but hey, they aren't hurting anyone, so I guess it's fine." If not, they'll bring up why they don't like furries, which is usually because they hear about people like Kero. The return of Kero has probably been the crappiest thing for furry fandom PR. Someone sees all the comments defending a furry who raped and murdered a dog. That makes the entire fandom look like shit. Anyways, back to the point here. Kit the Soulless is a good example of what to expect from Kero's current fans. Those who are either willing to take his lies at face value, just for some subpar content, or people who are into the same degenerative actions that Kero is. So, to end this thing off, if Kero or Kero happen to be stumbling upon this, I suggest branding your suit with a Zeta symbol. The people connected to that are a lot more willing to take you in than us furries are. For the rest of you, thanks for watching. Consider dropping your opinion on Kero's return in the comments below, and I will see you next video. Stay safe out there.